Hello, hello. Welcome to the Choir Directors Academy. I am your instructor or host, whichever terminology you want to use. Welcome to Vocal Techniques Part 2. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see you all join in. And feel free to like and share. Click the like button and click the share button. And those of you that are on YouTube, thank you for those who have subscribed already. I really appreciate it. But if you're on YouTube, and you like what you see, subscribe, because there's more coming. Yes, there's more coming. Not just me, but there's more coming your way. Got great plans for this group. Before I go any further into the part 2 of vocal techniques, I'm going to review some of what we talked about last week. Number one, and they're not necessarily in the particular order, but each one of them hold a level of importance. Number one, breathing. Remember, I talked last week about breathing. Practice breathing with your choir. They should be able to sing one stanza or one sentence without running out of air. And there are a lot of breathing exercises. You can have them just hum one note and just hold that. They don't have to hold it for a long time, but just train them to hold it for maybe 20 seconds and then let go. Consistently do that every week, and that will teach them to be able to sing a stanza or sing for a while without sounding so breathy and like they're out of breath, they're tired or fatigued or whatever. Train them every week. You can do that. And even yourself, have practice breathing exercises, because you need to be able to train them, so you have to practice yourself. Flexing your facial muscles, in and out, the cheeks, the eyebrows, the eyes, shifting the eyes back and forth. That helps loosen the muscles for singing purposes. A lot of people don't think so, but sometimes when we have stress, and it's just like exercising your natural body, you need to stretch before you do that. Stretching your facial muscles, the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaws, everything, that helps in you singing. Also, warm-up exercises. A lot of people do not warm up. You should always warm up before you do a performance, even before you rehearse. And it doesn't take a lot of time. You can just sing, hum a note as you're going, driving in the car or just walking. I do it sometimes when I'm walking. I just hum a tune, or just do the E and the ah, making sure that you're standing straight, your shoulders are straight, your chin is level with the ground. Or if you're sitting, your chin is level with your lap. And you just do the E's and the ahs, focusing on staying open from the chest cavity all the way up. The diaphragm is pushing the air. When you inhale, your diaphragm goes down. When you exhale, it comes up, pushing the air out, coming up through the vocal cords and giving us a very beautiful, soft sound, or whichever way you want the choir to sing. Realizing that as we're speaking, that is our chest voice. And then we also have a head voice where we have cavities in there, and we usually use those when we're singing the high notes. Okay. And also I instructed the directors that if your choir is doing this and they're not relating, because sometimes you can tell them over and over, you're not doing it this way, you're not sounding right, record them and give them an opportunity to hear themselves. It works wonders, because everybody, understanding that you're inside the body, you sound one way to yourself, but the person on the outside they hear something else. So it's up to you to inspire them. So let them listen to it. Just record them and say, I'm going to record you listening to this. And you'll be surprised when they hear themselves, you allow them to hear what you hear, and you'll get a better response. And then they'll start to think, well, how am I sounding? I did that with my choir, and eventually they tell me when they're out of tune. I mean, I already know it, but it's better when they can recognize, I don't sound good. That's not doing it for me. It's really good when they begin to recognize, because that means that they're beginning to understand, they're beginning to pay attention, they're beginning to get involved, and that's what you want them to do, get involved in their own vocal training. Which brings me to this week. We're not going to be this long tonight because I have other things that I need to do. So I just want to give you about 4 quick tips. We'll talk about them. Number one, when you're teaching your choir to sing, especially when you're trying to get them to sing high notes. Yes, when you're trying to get them to sing high notes. I've always told my choir, Because when you're teaching them, you have to translate it into a language that they understand. Because if you try to teach, if they're not musically inclined, if they're not really into music the way you are, they won't understand when you start using all the vocal terms. So I would tell my choir, when you're trying to sing a note, most people find the key of A flat, B flat hard to sing, especially when you're above middle C. I tell them to aim higher than the note. A lot of vocal instructors tell you to think down. When you have to sing high, think down. I've told my choir to aim higher for the note than what you're trying to sing. If we're in the key of G, aim to sing A. Because 10 times out of 10, you're going to end up singing G. Okay? Because when you hear a note and it's above middle C, it sounds high. But it actually isn't. If you're in most of the time we sing it in our comfortable range. Whatever note they give you, it is a comfortable range. Okay? So tell them to aim higher than the note. Or think down when you're singing the note. And you'll be surprised. If you think down, or you can tell them to sing higher than the note, they can sing that note very easily and properly. And it'll be with ease. And with my choir was the same thing. They found it very, very hard to sing a high note. But when I kept telling them, aim higher than the note. I don't care what note it is, aim higher. And they were able to sing that note with ease. Health. Okay. I know, a lot of people don't talk about health. Choir directors, we don't really be healthy. Because what do? Singers, musicians, directors, once we get through with a convocation or we get through with an event, the first thing we do is we go out and we get cheeseburgers, fries. We eat anything that we can get our hands on, because basically only the fast food restaurants are what's open. And if the church is selling food, it's all junk food. Nobody's selling veggies, because you wouldn't make any money. Okay? Health is very, very important. If you would like to sing, hey, Kimberly, how are you? Health is very, very important. We need to focus on eating the right things. Okay? You cannot sing with fervor and with that enjoyableness if you're sickly. Seriously. If you're not feeling well, your stomach is not well, you got a headache, right. You can't sing with a great performance. I know when we had competitions, I always instruct my choir, do not eat junk food. Do not stuff yourself. That's what we normally do. We stuff ourselves and we overeat. And I tell them every time when we go to competitions, eat light. Certain foods you just need to stay away from. Cheeseburgers, fries, beans, anything that's heavy, you need to stay away from. Because if you sing anything heavy and you have to sing, you won't hit the notes. Okay? You cannot stuff yourself and think you're going to hit that. You're not going to sing that high note. Forget it. You will not make it. So I always tell people, don't eat a lot of food. Drink plenty of liquids, water. Stay away from the sodas or wherever part of the country you are, soda, pop, whatever, soft drink, whatever you call it. Stay away from all of that. Even juice. I tell them, don't even drink juice. Just stick with water and very light food, which will make it much easier for you to sing. Because you don't want to start, you want to be your best. And you want everyone to perform at your best. And even you as the leader, they're going to follow you. So you need to eat properly. They need to see the effects of doing the right thing come through you. Diction. When you're teaching the choir to sing, teach them they must have diction. Don't just let the choir sing any kind of way. I know we do that. And that kind of disturbs me with church choirs, because we just let them sing anything, anyway, anyhow, whatever, just long as you got the note, halfway got the note, or whatever, just sing. If you want your choir to be the best, you have to be consistent. Train them how to pronounce the words. I mentioned that last week. Overemphasize your speaking. We sing very lazily, but overemphasize the speaking. Practice with them doing that. Speak. Make a conscious effort to speak clearly. Okay? You have to train them to do that. And it's going to be hard. There's no easy way. For whatever tips I give you, there is no easy way. There's no quick, fast, easy way to do anything. You have to be consistent and persistent, because there are going to be days you're going to get tired and you're going to get frustrated. But you have to keep doing it. Eventually, they will catch the vision. And like I said, always have that recorder handy and record everything and let them hear. When they and also compliment them when they do it right. You know, when I had my choir, and like I said, I'm competition driven. And I know I can be kind of, I don't want to say harsh, but I can be very determined. I'll use that word, determined. And when I would go over it with them, I could see the level of frustration, because they can't hear what I'm hearing. And I can hear when the note is like a hair off, 0.00002 off. I can hear it. And it's just like, that's not it, and they're like, So when they keep working on it and working on it, and then when they get it, I'm like, I may run around the church in a circle, or, like, yeah, or do something to make them happy, like, oh man, we finally got it. We finally reached that plateau. That's what you have to do. You have to make sure you encourage them as you're working with them, because you're trying to change their methodology. You're trying to change their way of thinking, their way of singing, their way of standing, their way of speaking. All of that you're doing. So you have to have encouragement along with that, because they'll get frustrated, and after a while they'll be like, well, I don't want to be in the choir anymore, because I don't think this is necessary. You don't want that type of reaction from people. You want them to see the vision. You want to encourage them. And the more you encourage them, be firm, but encourage them, they'll eventually get it. And you'll be glad. You'll start hearing the changes. Even the people in the audience, they'll start hearing changes. They're like, oh, they changing. They sounding pretty good. I got a lot of that from the audience. Always connect with your audience. Okay, you want to connect with them through the Spirit of God, but you want to connect with them because they notice things. Because sometimes they get used to the status quo. Oh, they're gonna sing like this, whatever. But you'll be surprised when you start working with them and they change for the better. Then you'll hear people start telling you, they really sang. I mean, I heard them. They were like pronouncing the words. I understood what they were saying. And that's encouraging to you. And then you relay that information to the choir. People were telling me that they could understand what you were saying. They enjoyed you. You all sound better. You sound fuller, richer. That's an awesome thing to hear from the audience, the people who are receiving what you're giving out. So you're giving to the choir, then they're giving to the audience, and it's like a circle of life, a circle of music. And to hear that really blesses your heart, and it'll also bless the heart of the choir. Yeah, exactly, Kimberly. And that's a good thing to point out. You say you did peppermint oil and room temperature water. Exactly. And I know some people do, they do tea, not super hot tea, but a warm tea with honey sometimes, or a warm tea with a little lemon in it. And then they also take a Halls or Ricola. Sometimes they will let the Ricola melt in the tea. So it's different ways that you can do to soothe your throat, to prepare yourself. Well, Deborah, you know what? That always supersedes everything. The anointing supersedes. The anointing supersedes everything. I have seen people that the choir didn't really sound that good, but they was with it. They had the Spirit, and you got with that. So the anointing always supersedes everything. Exactly. But but in this case, you want to kind of prepare yourself for the anointing. And that's through consecration, through prayer, through fasting, through those means, as long as also preparing your body to be able to give your best. Because you really can't give God your best when you're not feeling good. Even when I'm I don't like directing when I'm not feeling good. I know I can push it, and I can not be feeling well, and I might give 60%, but to the average person, they look like, girl, you toe up. And I'm sitting up there like, you just don't know. I'm not, that was all spirit. That wasn't me, because I'm not feeling it at all, So, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to eat right. We have to drink water. We have to do what we have to do to keep these bodies healthy. so that we can do what God called us to do. Each one of us, each director, each singer, each musician, God appointed us for this time to deliver a message to certain people. Those of you that are directing, you're called for a specific time. The people that you're directing are to receive it from you. So when we realize that we have a purpose, then we prepare ourselves and we do the best that we can. We train. We present to God the best. If God made you a choir director, then you make sure you're giving your best. Present to God your best. And that's what I told God with the choir that I had. Exactly. That the choir that I had. Now my choir is still made up of people who are not the best singers. They not. I only have one person in that has been trained to sing like myself, and that happens to be my sister. And then it was my brother, who is deceased now. He sang tenor. He was also trained to sing like we were. We were all trained. Our mother was a choir director, so you know what that means. And then my grandmother was a musician and a director, so it kind of flowed down the family. But my choir was predominantly made up of people who were not musically inclined. You know, I mean, I had some that you wrapped the note around their neck, around the arm, they still couldn't carry it, you know. But I mean, it was a lot of work, but I promised God that if whatever he gave me, people, that I was going to take them as far as I can take them. I promise I'm going to work with them and I'm going to do the best that I can. And through the grace of God and the power of God and his strength, I did do that. I got them into How Sweet the Sound, and they actually won. They were shocked. But I mean, it was a lot of work, but I took them as far as I could take them. And I had really like pushed them to that max. When they got in the United Center and they realized that the Bulls played in this place, what am I doing up here? I had to pull them together like, oh, no, hold on. Let's get through the song first, then you can fall out, okay? But it takes work, but I was able, through the grace of God, I was able to do that. So I try to encourage everybody, do the best you can with whatever you got. I know, you know, a lot of times in the church choirs, we have to work with whatever we get. We do. We work with whatever we receive, whatever we get. So just do the best that you can. Arnold say, me, get my voice back. You work on it, Arnold. I'm going to have to do a voice lesson on the side to make sure you're doing it right. Also, one of the other final vocal tips I had was, let's sing songs that our choirs are comfortable with. Okay? If you know that your choir is having a hard time staying in tune, they don't really, don't try to make your choir, if you know the best they can do is they got the word, bum bum bum, they got the word. They basically, you might get joy out of them. Okay, you might get joy. You might get that. Don't give them Richard Smallwood. What's that song? I always think about it. I hate to see people do that to their choirs, and I'm looking at them like, really? Anthem of praise. Praise him with the timberland dance. Praise him with the sound of the dun 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 dun. And I'm sitting there going, why would you torture them like that? Don't give your choir a song that's well beyond them. Don't do that, because you want to depress them. And then you wonder why they're not motivated. If you know that, the best that they can do is, God is my everything. Boom, bum, bum. God is. Stick with that. It's better for you to sing a song that they are comfortable with. I do that with my choir. I know sometimes when we go and visit some people, some churches, and those people are Total Praise is another good one. Okay. But we go to different churches, and they may have a choir that's renowned. A lot of times I get called to go to churches where the choir is renowned. And one second. Where the choir is renowned, and they get nervous. They're like, oh my God. So I make sure that I pick a song that I know they're comfortable. Right? That they're comfortable. It's like I'm sitting there and going, and I can see their faces like, I don't want, because I do a lot of acapella. That's my favorite. And there are some that I have that are complex, and there are some that are very simple. And I just sit there and look at them. I'm like, you know what? Let me pick a song that's very, very simple. And they can go from there. And they do very, very well. So make sure you pick a song that your choir is comfortable with. Every choir cannot do what everybody. The average church choir has a hard time singing some of the stuff that Ricky Dillard does, that Donald Lawrence does, that Richard Smallwood does. Right. I mean, you can't. You have to stay in their comfort zone until you push them up to the next level, and they can get there. Cause my choir, I had to work with them. True, you got to work with them to get them there. When I took the choir over from my mom, she taught them. They just sang regular songs. And with the choir, she didn't try to do she didn't try to do like real complex things with them. She just kept them, she just kind of kept them. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get to somebody right now. I'm sorry. You all bear with me for a second. I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. She was trying to just get them to sing decent songs, just get them along the way. Well, when I took over, I wanted to change the whole curriculum. I said, no, we're going to be an a cappella competition choir. And, the choir was kind of looking at me like, really? So I had to kind of work with them and get them to change the mindset. And that was hard. And I was trying to get them to sound like John P. Key. I was trying to get them to sound, because he was pretty popular then. I was trying to get them to sound. And the choir was looking at me like, are you serious? They're not used to it. But after a while, I had to bring myself down and say, okay, you know what? They're not like me. I got to get them to where I am. So then I had to bring all of those songs down to where that they can easily learn them. I had to teach the sopranos how to sing soprano, tenors, altos, and whatever else. And then I was able to work with them. After a few years, I was able to work with them and get them up to a point where they were able to sing. And so I always encourage directors, don't do that to your choir. Don't try to make them a super choir. I mean, we hear all of these choirs, and that's kind of what made me start the group, because exactly, and I love workshops too. Unfortunately, people don't really do them as much as they used to. I remember when I was coming along, you could find a workshop almost every other weekend, especially in Chicago. You could find a workshop every time you turn around. But now people don't really do that anymore. They don't freely share information like they used to. Sometimes, I don't know what it is, but people don't share like it. When I was coming along, and I'm sure some of you can attest to that they shared more information. They would teach you how to play, teach you how to direct, teach you how to sing. But, it's not like that anymore. So that's what kind of made me start this sharing information, because I figure like this. We all got to learn. Somebody poured into me, and I want to pour into somebody else. Okay, so I encourage directors, don't pick something that's way over your choir. I know, and we see all of these different people with these choirs, and they sound phenomenal. But you have to understand, community choirs get to pick the best people. Okay? Church choirs have to work with whoever you get. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. And you're trying to take people who are just volunteers. They really don't like to sing. They just do it. They sing it because there's nothing else really to do. And you're trying to make them sound like some supersonic choir. It's not going to work. So you have to, there are stages and you have to work along with them. You have to understand and consider the source. They just doing this as volunteers. They hoping that we just stay in the four walls and that's it. Now, as a church, as you progress, you may get more people in there. You're welcome. Thank you for joining me. You'll get people in there that have more of a mindset like you. A lot of the ones, because that's what happened to me. A lot of them retired, and then I got new people coming in that want to, I want to get out these four walls. I want to be in the gospel fest. I want to be in this. I want to be that. Well, see, now you're talking my language. Now we can work this game and get up to where we want to be. Okay. So you really have to look at what you got, have a vision, share it with them, and you'll get there. You will get there. Go through all of these techniques. All of them, the E's, the I's, and make sure that, because I notice a lot of choirs, if we allow them to slump in rehearsal, you don't always have to stand. My choir likes to stand. They say they can sing better. And my rehearsals are 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and they stand the entire time. They don't mind. They don't like sitting. Some choir members like to sit. I personally don't like to sit. I don't like to sit. I like to stand. Some choirs do, but then you have to work with them and position them to sit properly. Even when they're standing, keep that chin, keep the chin level. You have to work with them and train them to do that. And once you do, then you want it to become a part of them, because I see choirs when they're standing and they're singing and they can't, and the director's, trying to get the sound out, but I'm seeing them slumped over, and, you're cutting off the air. So, and it sounds like a lot, and it's really not a lot. Honestly, it's not a lot, but you really have to work with them. I know Kimberly is one that is in the state jurisdictional choir that I direct sometime when I was assistant state minister of music. And she would see me. Kimberly can tell you, I would correct them every time. I'm always correcting the choir. I didn't care about the audience. I care about you doing it right, you being in the right frame of mind, the right spirit, so that we can do this job. And we can't be afraid. We're gentle, we're nice, but we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid to do the job. You can't be afraid to teach. You can't be afraid to share. You can't be afraid. You just have to do it, because finally, Annette, I was trying to connect Annette earlier. That's when you all saw me going, excuse me. You had me interrupting my class, Annette, trying to get you on here. But thanks, Miriam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, Kojic. All right. But, but that's what I want to encourage you all to do. Go through all of these vocal techniques so that our choirs can sound better. Make sure that you're teaching them diction. Make sure your songs are proper. They're not over their head. They're not. You will get them there, but try not to sing something that's way over their head where they all are drowning, and they're sitting there like, oh my God. What is she doing? Or what is he doing? Make sure, and above all things, encourage the choir. You fine in that. You're cool. You're fine. But most of all, encourage your choir. Trying to change them from singing a certain way, singing, a different way is hard. It's just like you're used to doing something a certain way, and now you got somebody telling you to change. In jobs, they do it all the time. They taught you how to do it this way, and then they turn around and tell you to do that. You're right. Yeah, they lazy, but then some people are afraid. You got choirs that are afraid of change. When a new director comes in, they automatically panic. So, my choir was the same way. When I came in, they were used to my mom. Well, I got new ideas. I got, so I, in trying to change them, I can admit I was a little rough in the beginning with the vocal techniques and trying to get them to change their mindset and whatever. But when I learned that encouragement goes a long way, and yes, I had the lazy people, I had the superstars, I had those trying to tell me how to do my job. Didn't know the key of A, B, C, anything at all. Okay? They didn't know anything, but they were trying to tell me how to do my job. Okay? I had all kinds of people, but in the midst of it, I had to be encouraged in order to encourage. And we have to do that as directors. There are times you just have to encourage the choir. You have to learn to read their spirits, see when they're not with the program. I'm not talking about bad attitudes. But see when they, right, Z flat. See when they have the wrong, when they're just not feeling well. And sometimes when they're singing, they're just not. And sometimes I had to come to choir rehearsal and boost them up, knowing they out of tune. But I had to kind of like, there are different ways that you can approach it. And I would tell them, I said, why you killing me? Why are you doing this to me? And they're like, well, what you talking about? I said, you so out, we in A and you in C, you not even with us. What is that? And it kind of brings laughter in the choir, and they kind of laugh like, oh, I'm sorry, my man, blah, 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 blah. All right, then I'll be like, in the name of Jesus, bring that man in to the group. You have to have a sense of humor because it could go a long ways. But again, remember the breathing, okay? Flexing the facial muscles, warming up, and at the end of rehearsal, warm it back down. Ooh, whatever warm up you use. Try to use that going down because then the choir will get accustomed to that. Okay, you don't want to be changing like we go up, woo, 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 and then when we get ready to end, you're like no. You want to kind of begin and end with the same thing, consistency. And like I said, when you're teaching them to sing a song and it's you want to sing the song in the right key. That's another thing. I see choirs do that all the time. You want to train them to sing in the key that the song is in. Don't dummy down the song because they lazy. I had some choir members, at church, some church merged into ours. They didn't last long, I'm sorry. But the director that they had would bring the song down if the key was in A flat. Okay, A flat, they would bring the song down to F so that, lazy. And so the choir, they were used to singing lazy. So when they came to me, if the song is in B flat, which is sort of high, above middle C, I'm like, no, you singing that. Okay, that's the soprano key. That's where you going. And they're kind of looking at me like, are you serious? Our director brought it down. Well, this director don't do that. I'm sorry. You singing, So don't dummy down the song. Let's not encourage them to be lazy. Give them something to strive for. Okay? So we as directors need to sing. We need to know that song. We need to sing with a fervor. And they're going to, trust me, they're going to sing whatever you sing. If you sing, and I'm not a true soprano, but I can sing soprano. And, if I sing falsetto, which most the average choir member thinks that's opera and is nowhere near opera. You need to listen to Lady Aubrey Dubois. You will hear some opera. But they think that's opera, and I'm like, no, sweetie, But if I sing it, the note, then the choir sits there like, oh my God, I'm a soprano, she's an alto, I got to get. You have to sing those notes. You have to know that song. Because it eliminates all excuses. Even with the tenors. I'll sing every part in my choir. And I think I mentioned that a couple of sessions ago. I said that I've listened to that song at least 50 times. I really listened to that song. And I can tell you everything about it. Everything. I can tell everybody what to do. So if and sometimes I give them the song and I tell them to listen to it. And, try to go, listen to the song on your own. I tell them to listen. Don't sing, please. Because if you sing, you don't hear what I hear. Just listen. Just listen. And, when they listen, I can tell when they listen and I can tell when they try to sing. Because you're competing with what I'm saying. But if you listen, just let the song saturate your spirit. Just listen. And it's easier to teach. That's one technique that I learned. Thank you, Arnold. And in that, it's easy for them to learn. I learned that with them. Even for people that do not know music, I always tell my choir, just listen. While you washing dishes, while you driving the car, when you're walking down the street, just listen. Don't sing. Please don't sing. Just listen. Let the song saturate your spirit. Because I've already taught you the soprano voice. I've already taught you the alto voice. I've taught you the tenor. So when you hear it, you hear the soprano. I taught you to zone into the soprano part, zone to the alto part, zone to the tenor part. I've already taught you that. Okay? So when they listen, that alto part, that soprano part becomes activated when they hear the song. So when they come to rehearsal, you already know the words, you know the basic melody, you kind of know your part because you allowed it to get in your spirit. I taught my choir, sing from your spirit. Don't get it in your mind, because when you get in your mind, you get nervous, you forget everything. And they've done that to me, where they had the song in their mind, and oh my God, we sang a cappella at one place, and we got such this major build up, and they got up there and got scared, and them notes went everywhere. I was so embarrassed, I wanted to crawl under the bench. I actually went on hiatus for a couple of months. I was so embarrassed, and that's when I changed my method. And that's another thing, and I'm going to cut off in about another 5 minutes, hopefully, because things keep coming to my mind. These are not in my notes. Things just keep coming. But as a director, make sure you know how to flow with what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to be able to change your methods. You know, when I started, I had like, okay, we're going to do it like this, because the only image of a cappella singing and teaching was from, I was all the way up through grammar school, all the way up through high school, all the way up through college. She said, no, don't stop. All the way up to college. So I forgot that when I was going through grammar school, high school, and college, I'm singing with people who are just like me, who sight read, who love music, who play instruments. Okay? So I basically was attacking the choir. You should do that. And they were looking at me like, what is she talking about? You know, I'm approaching it, but then I had to learn after we had that fiasco where I got majorly embarrassed. I'm like, you know, I need to change my method of how I'm teaching these people, because they're not getting it. When they get scared and nervous and they see, you know, I would be going to concerts or churches or whatever, and they would see Tyrone Block come in with some of the Tommies, or they see Tyrone Block and Christ T, or the Brown sisters would be there, or we had Greater Holy Gym, and they panic and they forget everything. And I'm like, oh snap, something got to change. So I'm saying, as a director, you have to change. So then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, why don't I have them just listening to the music? I would make up songs. I would just, you know, write a cappella songs, and they would practice, and you know, whatever, and I would just sing it on the at that time we had CDs, and I was singing, and somebody in the choir rehearsal would put it on a CD for them, and I would have the soprano part, the alto part, and the tenor part, and that's what they would do, rewind. That, you know, I did that for a while, and that yielded better results. And then I focused on teaching them how to sing that part. That yielded better results. But the best thing that I've seen so far for people, whether they know music or whether they don't, is just to have them to listen to the song. Do not sing. Whatever you do, don't sing, because you don't hear what I hear. Okay? And then when they came to rehearsal, it was easier for me to work and manipulate the song to how I want it to be. You know, I may flatten the third over here, or I may make it an augmented chord over there, or I may make it diminished. I could change it up because they know the basic melody. I just add my own little flavor in there. Okay? But that's through them listening. And I found that by having them do that to all of the songs that I taught them, when we started going back out, because I brought them in for a while. I couldn't take that. I was too embarrassed. I let them out and started taking them back around, singing it in various different places at gospel neighborhood fests and things like that. I noticed that when they got nervous, because the song was in their spirits and not in their minds, they sang it flawlessly. They were nervous, but they still got up there and sang, and they were like, oh my God, I actually remember the song. Oh my God, you know, but it's all technique. So that's my last cue. That's my last point. As a director, always be willing to adapt and change. Every method may not work for your choir, for whatever you're trying to do. Okay? I'm a competition-driven director. I'm all about, we got to have it right the first time. There are no do-overs. That's my mentality. And, so I have a different method of teaching or getting them to learn. Now, I also work with recording choirs, too. So, and I know that's a little different because they all also already have in their minds, well, we can go to the studio and fix this. So, we're not going to worry about it. And I also work with them as well. But I do better with competition. But even then, I had to kind of think like, okay, this is not working with them. I need to change and maneuver. So always be adaptable. Always be exactly, and they adjust accordingly. Because every group is different. The atmosphere, everything plays a part in it. Okay? And, what works for my choir may not necessarily work for yours, but you can take what I'm saying, tailor it a little bit, and use it for your choir. Okay? And that's all I have. I have gone over my time. All right, but I'm hoping that whatever I said has helped you, encouraged you, enlightened you, lifted you, blessed you, whatever. I hope that it has. And if it has, hit the like, hit the share. Also, I was telling you all in the beginning when I first started that I'm going to have people coming in, guest clinicians and choir masters, people that I know. And yes, before this month is over, I will have one of my dear friends will come in. He's a phenomenal choir master, musician, songwriter, teacher. So many of them are willing to come in and share their knowledge and their expertise. Because, like I said, I'm competition. There's not that many of us out there. We're kind of scarce competition directors. Unless I go to like a high school or in the American Choir Directors Association that I'm with, there are a lot more competition choir directors there. But I'm going to start bringing in some recording choir masters to give you kind of even it out a little bit. To kind of even it out. Thank you so much. Kind of even it out a little bit. So I'm super excited because they're excited to share, and I'm excited to bring them on and let them talk and share and give you some more. They may have had experiences. I haven't had all the experiences. I had quite a bit. I'm gonna try, and then I got to figure out how to work this thing. Experiences. I've had a lot of them. I've been a lot of different places singing and doing a lot. I'm like third generation director. So there's a lot that I've experienced, but then there are also other people that have experienced things that I haven't that could probably more than likely be beneficial to you as well. So I love everybody, and I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for hanging out with me. And like I said, you enjoyed this, click like, click share on YouTube. Thank you for those who have already subscribed. The Choir Directors Academy, on YouTube, and allow your friends to subscribe if you haven't, and share the information with your friends. Hopefully, everybody will get this information, and these choirs can rock, because choir directors rock, and a good church choir rocks as well. You all stay blessed. Have a wonderful evening, and peace.